Now, what is important, it's best to do this if you have like a, now of all times, a DAW. That was slipping my mind. I have it in a folder in the audio convert. First, I have to convert it. Maybe you have it and just haven't known how to use it. Just drag it over the converter and it should drop everything here. It's nice to know that. So if you didn't know, the way the loops work on the synthesis tool is these need to be in probably a wave. I'm always going to call it wave, okay? So laugh at me, I don't care. Now, I think the GLSP one will open. See, before all you had was like this, but it wasn't opened up. This is the same like if this was a zip file and you extracted its contents. It's kind of like what happened there to make sense to the average listener. So now we have the in-game sounds. I made a custom start and stop before. So if you had those files and you were going to copy, or you were going to replace this one here, you would want to make like a 3-second start and a 3-second stop. So like here's the start. So you have an example of how it started and an example of when you cut off the engine. That's how you get your start and stops, especially if you had a DAW, because you would want to get this where the idle, which is probably the lowest RPM here. You'd want a smooth transition from this start to this, and you could do that if it was laid out. So I put my start in there and then I have the engine. If these were custom engine sounds, this is the way you would do it. Like if you had a clip of something starting and a clip of that you recorded or something. Like maybe your own vehicle you got, or your own tractor or something. A little choppy there, but this didn't sound as smooth as a transition as I would give it. I've messed with audio my whole life, so there's a gap there that I would get rid of. Although in game I've never noticed hearing a gap when I've started something up. If you did have a gap like that, this is a reason why this curve point crossover thing, or like if you merged your RPMs to where it would crossfade over, where it picked up this audio, which I'll get into that in a second to help kind of explain that a little better. But to start with, mine would have been, why is there a draw? I know there's like a blank space here. There has to be. This one, there's a cut. There it is. You see that? Very minuscule, but it's there. So, you know, I wouldn't have that. It should be more solid. And let me just go ahead and just test the play. So it would have a crossover a little bit like that. I would fade this up. Like if I knew it was going to do that, but if you do that and this is going to be looping, you would never fade that. You would want it to be smooth. I don't know why that audio is choppy. It might be because of the file format it's in. Anyway, let's say it was perfect, okay, for your ears. You would export out the portion of your start there of the length that it was. Okay, just like that. You would export just between the two. Or you could just like mute this other file so that it only exported your top one. Whatever DAW you're using, however you would go about it. And then for the next file, you would make sure that this was looping and it sounded like it was looping. If that makes sense. Anyway, that's a simple. When I've done audio in like for other game engines that I've done, I do longer than the 3-second or 4-second because you can get more variety of like sound going, you know, so it flows better. It sounds more natural. A lot of times when you heard that loop, you could hear it would start over again. That's why you can't just throw a supercharger effect that is connected to this, because if it was going whoop every time, when it would loop, it would do it again like whoop, whoop, whoop. And that's not an effect you want. You want it to rev with your rev of your engine. So in something like this, you would have a separate audio file that you would tell the game to play and play it up when it was accelerating up and down when it was decelerating down, you know. But doing it in something that you're going to be looping the audio in, you don't want to do it like that because, like I just said, you would get that effect and not the smooth incline and decline of that. Let's just say you want to tune what's already here, okay? Or maybe your files are already here. This is all your engine stuff now. I do have a custom engine sound, but it wouldn't be good for me to show you how to do this with that particular one because it's a cammed out engine and it's super like open headers, so it's very loud. But here's where your idle is. This is as low as your engine. If you are in your vehicle settings and you're turning your, let me go to the mods because I just want to show you what I'm talking about so that no one's confused. If you know it, you know it, all right? But someone might see this and not know it. So I just want to be clear. If you set, what I'm trying to say though is if you set your engine idle lower, it's not going to affect the sound. It will if you raise it up from that point, but it won't if you go any lower than what it says here. So the minimum RPM is 850 here. So it's already lower than what this says. But the game audio is going to run like this 850 is the lowest point. That's 980 for this audio. Just like this max RPM is 5800, this one's only 1800. This 1800 is 5800. For that. It may sound a little complicated, but I mean, since this is the minimum and maximum, even though these are scaled way farther apart, this scales with that. It doesn't necessarily scale like it revs up higher. If you wanted this to actually match an audio that goes up to 5800, one thing you could do is raise these, but you would want to add more higher RPMs to get it more precise. And you could add more than these. You can add like however many more you want to go, but not the converted one. Let's get one that's not converted so that it makes more sense. So I'll say we were going to try to get the idle one here. You got it in here, and then for this, you don't really export it. You just save it as in the destination that you want it, and you set the format settings. Probably, it's got to be mono 16 and 44 100, but you may want to go lower if this one's failing. But the file that I just put in, that's this one, is this format right here. That it's highlighted. And then I just hit OK and then it adds it into whatever folder there. Then you can just use it just like I'm showing here because all of these are the ones that I've done what I just explained there. Anyway, I wasn't going to go about doing a whole custom audio, but that's the custom idle, which I should have replaced the idle with it probably, because this is going to sound off. You can tell by the line here too. It may even clip and pop. So you don't want to do that. If you do your RPMs wrong, you're going to get an error to tell you. Actually, I think you can't do that. You can. Let's say I want it on both on the end to play at the same time. Even though the one below it's going to fade out. Actually, I think it might be. It's like it was kicking in too soon. So if you don't want to change your RPMs from that point, you can change the curve like I just did there. don't want to give it too much because in the game it will sound distorted. These are easier to tell your changes when it's revved up higher. What I did there is I created it to be able to go up to a higher RPM and not sound off. So there it sounded like all of a sudden that it had been getting capped out. I should have probably tried it the other way. I like to get my final one where I want it first before getting everything else to go with it. If you just use it to use the equalizer and kind of adjust the sound a little bit, you won't really have a problem like that. But we're just going to get rid of that. Alright, let's try that. We'll just do something simple like changing the start sound. I thought it was the truck that had the flaps on the mufflers that would ding. Unless it's audio somewhere else. We'll check it out in game in a second. Let me do something different to it though, you know? Hopefully that's not too annoying. So we're just going to export for runtime and just name it Becky so that I know it's the file. And then here I want it to use, now this would probably may work if it, no it wouldn't, because it's going to go to the game one. I was gonna say if it was looking for the one that was in this folder and it was using it, it would have worked, but it's a custom. Save that. And it should be using that audio now. Technically, I could delete all this other stuff now. Don't need it. And in the script of the vehicle, I just need to make sure I'm routing that audio to that. Audio sound. I already forgot what I named it. Man, when it's lowercase. So I spelt Becky in a unique way for this truck. But when it's lowercase, I can really tell, like, it looks wrong. Anyway, that's the XML in the sounds folder of the mod. That's why it would be able to find that. So we will load into a world and see if this is going to work. I apologize for taking a little bit long on that audio thing. I was trying to work out some stuff. And then the whole time that it wasn't working, it was because I was in the exhaust. So if you have other audio files like you would do, you would have your exhaust one that you would tune for the exhaust sound. And then you would have the one that you would... Yeah, I was going to replace your house, but I was afraid if I did that, the map might not load. So I wanted to make sure it was going to change first. You know, I was going to give you a mansion or something. Or at least something that was a little bit... I don't know. You seem like you've just been on your feet all day and could use a change of scenery. So if you look this way, sir, you'll see this thing needs a nice paint job. I mean, it probably just needs to be removed. Anyway. What is she doing? She took her time getting here. Now, the rim color doesn't do anything. It was just, I didn't take it out of the script, so it's there. But... should be fine for now. I don't... And girl, you got a little gargle there. The audio is actually quiet. I could turn up my audio a little bit. I should have turned the traffic off. I don't need their shenanigans. I don't need the help window, but I like to leave it on for people that are watching the video to see if I do anything. And the little control group. I really like the way I did the script on this though, because I'm full throttle right now, and she coasts at 25. She won't go past it, and the transmission and the game settings is set to automatic. She won't go past it unless I hit the magic button to shift up, like this. So it's like different speed limiters in a way. Well, that's not right. I deleted that shed and the script put it back. It's weird that it put that back, but it didn't put the whole garage back there back. I made that apple big on purpose. Just wanted to see if you could still collect it. There's one out there too, which is where I'm heading next. But yeah, it's weird. I deleted the whole shop. It stayed gone, but the freaking script put that barn back in. Where? Well, I don't own the land. Technically, I would have to... This lot here. I was gonna say I'd have to turn the mod on to where I need to get more money, but I have a little bit of money since I did the start with a little money in the pocket. Tiny amount up there. I forgot how the game worked for a second. Demolition mode. Yeah, I can't delete it. So, I guess in the mod script on the map, I would have to remove that from spawning in. And the reason I know that is because I put my own gas station in before, and it was loading the other one in even though I removed it, and I had to remove the script of the other gas station. Something along the lines of that is what I had to do. But I cleared out the lot over here so that I'd have a different scenery. I got rid of all the buildings that were right here so that I could just have something across from the gas station there. I'm not really a fan of her stuttering so much, but she is old, even though the under the hood is modern. It kind of fits her. And so on my blinkers, I never fixed the hands either. The piece that's supposed to light up and glow, I did it wrong when I set up the blinkers. I was supposed to make the background that's white right there be the blinker. This was just supposed to stay chrome or stay rusty looking, and instead that's the portion that is blinking. Either way, I guess it's still a little fancy for it. And this right here, I used a text and turned it into a mesh in Blender to make that a left blinker. I didn't hook up the tail lights. Mainly because I wasn't trying to make this a main mod vehicle or anything. It was just testing out to look if I had any holes in here or anything that were very noticeable. Other than the rust that sticks out on the door where the trim would be, it's not too bad. And I took out the creek here and flattened it out. And I took out all them annoying trees. I know when I first started playing this game, it was out here that I had sand and I was clearing out the trees with all the forestry stuff. And I come across some things you couldn't remove, you know, the old annoying things. So I cleared this out so that I could build a big roller coaster right here. I'm just kidding. I am not going to do that. Although it does look like it has the land for like something. Maybe a shopping strip. Maybe a Buc-ee's. I don't know what else is like. Takes up a lot of space but isn't considered a city. A drag strip would be nice. I could make a drag strip through there. See, I really wanted to set up something like that so that I could simulate doing tractor pulls and everything. But this game just has limitations on what the engine will allow for certain things that I would need to get that to work. Like something is broken on this truck. Is it the textures? It's weird, I've never seen that happen before. I know what it is. I know what it is. I'm just surprised that's the only place you see that happening at. Interesting. So what it is I duplicated this bottom piece because it only had one side, meaning the face that was red you'd be able to see through. And for portions like if you were looking under the hood and to the left or right, you would see through these fenders. And you see how you can't see through them? It's because I duplicated it and then flipped the face on that one and put it together. And what this is doing, I don't know why it shouldn't be, because technically those faces should be invisible. It's trying to show the other side, the other face of it. Unpainted, too, which is weird. Anyway, that's what that is. I never fixed the rear view mirror there. And I didn't bother with reinstalling the game to get the shaders to work or whatever, because I think I'm pretty much done with putting or testing vehicles in here, because the next place I'm just going to be adding vehicles is in a game world, in a game engine that I have full control over. So like if I wanted to make this thing drive through water and the tires have buoyancy, for an example, I could do that. If I wanted to hook up a boat to the back of this thing and take it down to the lake and be able to unload the boat and then drive the boat across the water, I would be able to do that. If I wanted to put an airplane in there to fly around, you know. And if I wanted to have where I could hook up machines like the tractor pulls and do stuff like that to have fun challenges and everything. See, there's much more stuff I could do without being limited to what this game engine here can do. It can do a lot. I'm not saying it's not capable of doing most things. It's just in this particular, since it's already set up and it has all these assets and everything, and there's a lot of nonsense I wouldn't need. I would only need it to be focused on that. And if I was to build it into a game, it'd be a game that was specifically built to be modded. And not like that be a secondary thing. You know, that way just people could put their own whatever they wanted into something and enjoy it themselves and make their own like YouTube videos for stuff like that. I don't know why this thing runs a little hot. It's probably because I was riding the bouncing off the red line. I didn't make these glow yet on the thing. In my video I talked about how that's a 3D. Those are 3D numbers so that they could light up. But I haven't even been driving this thing at night, so it hasn't really affected it. Another thing is that Becky there on that logo, it was going to light up on in the interior, just a little small glow like you would have if you ran LED lights or something along the door or something. I'm not going to do that to this, but I'm just saying there's going to be a little low illuminated thing. These are completely different color that, you know, you'd be able to get unless you had them custom done, but I wanted them to have that work of like, it gives me DeWalt drill vibes. So it looks like a working machine. So let me talk about this top piece here. The straps I couldn't get to work. Now what I could have done is I could have put this on something that had toe straps and done it that way, or completely did it from scratch, but I wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to throw this in for only testing purposes. I guess I didn't do the collision here. So you could technically set a pallet up here, but it would slide off. Now you see the size reference on this looks like it's supposed to. So that poor little Hummer.
Hey, watch where you're going, man.
People just like to walk right across here like they don't see cars coming.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Anyway, this camera here for the backup camera, I really prefer this over having a screen one. The fact that you can look around, especially if you're using it for something to hook up to. Like in game, this makes way more sense. To back up into a spot. You know? Why are those? What do we have? We have a short in our wires. Actually, they're probably not pulled out far enough. It's weird. Things weren't flickering before.
Oh, nice and
Ma'am.
blue. Hey,
Oh, you wanna? Are you? I can't see you from there. You trying to go for a ride?
maybe.
I didn't make
Stranger
these
danger.
back door. Oh, they always run away so quick. As soon as they see my face, they're like, "Oh, escape." Yeah, I could have did the mirrors better, but these are just pieced on there since the real ones aren't working. Because I would have adjustable mirrors, like you should. Simple thing, like since this has the controls here, you can switch holding like something, and you could do this on keyboard too since the keyboard has controls. Hold whatever button and adjust the left mirror and then adjust the right. You know, it just needs to turn left and right, up and down. Nothing too crazy. But I like having a controller in my hand now because it doesn't feel like work. And when I have a mouse and keyboard, it's work time.
I'm off on that thing now.
You trying to holler at me? No, this thing ain't for sale. I'm sorry.
I'll give $5 for it. $5. $5 make it how? Huh? What do you think?
I mean, maybe. We'll talk.
Alright. I'll be waiting.
Just make sure to never drive through this neighborhood again. You hate when you get stopped by that, like that, or if you pull up to a gas station and someone like compliments you on your ride and like, oh, is that thing for sale? Shit, right into a tree. That's what I get for talking shit.
Hey, you got that thing stuck in the tree? I got a slingshot. You hear me?
Anyway, I've been messing with the bitrate and everything a little bit more. It turned out I had the encoder set wrong for this build. So the quality should slowly be getting a little better, hopefully. I mean, the main thing that was bothering me is I was seeing grainy stuff and artifacts that shouldn't be there. So realistically, I would have done these to be running lights and then blink yellow. You know, have it like it is in real life, but I was doing a speed run on that build to get it in game and running with lights and everything, so I just went simple yellow.